Deutschlandhalle in Berlin. We're just coming up to the halfway stage in the 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League for jumping riders. A little bit of a break now before we'll be starting again, and that'll be with Britain's Michael Whittaker with Everest Midnight Madness. But let me tell you straight away that we have 5 clear rounds so far, and 4 of them, in fact, we have Duccio Bartolucci for Italy with Too Hot to Handle. This was the explanation of the first round, the actual course designed by Olaf Peterson, but we'll have plenty of time to look at that. Ludger Beerbaum for Germany, the Olympic champion and Volvo World Cup champion in 1993. Eddie Macken for Ireland and Dirk Hafemeister for Germany. So Michael Whittaker now coming on course with Everest Midnight Madness. It's Dutch-bred gelding, 11 years old, by Nieuwsuus. Michael, who finished 4th in the Volvo World Cup qualifier at Mill Street in the Republic of Ireland, where we were only, just over a week ago. Finished 3rd in the Volvo World Cup finals in 's-Hertogenbosch last April. Now this course, designed by Olaf Peterson, 13 fences, 16 jumping efforts, time allowed 84 seconds. And you'll see that Peterson has set related distances practically all the way around the course. Treble combination there, which rode fairly long. You can have some fun working out these distances. Now he comes down the line here at fence 7. 4 strides. And either a 4 or a 5, but you could see Michael just playing with that down to fence 9. A double combination over on the far side, that's fence 12. 2 strides inside that, then a little dogleg going to the last, which they could play with again in either 5 strides or 6. In fact, some of the earlier ones were doing it in 7. So Michael Whittaker giving us the 5th clear round for Great Britain with Everest Midnight Madness. So let's go through that a bit more carefully now. The first one came from the Italian rider Duccio Bartolucci with Too Hot to Handle. Then Ludger Beerbaum with Spray Ratina Z. And then Eddie Macken with Fan Skyview, or FAN Skyview, as we're watching the replay now of Michael Whittaker. Dirk Hafemeister then for Germany with PS Priamos. Dirk was born and bred in Berlin, so he's very much in front of his home crowd in his own backyard. And the 5th one, as we've just seen, Michael Whittaker, bless him, for Great Britain with Everest Midnight Madness. Alexandra Liedermann now for France with Rocher M. French bred, 11-year-old by Jalisco. And Alexandra won the Derigold Indoor Derby at Mill Street, riding Rocher M. And the year before, Mill Street finished 3rd in the Volvo World Cup qualifier there, as she did in Bordeaux. Comes from Normandy. In fact, she's on great form in Mill Street. If I remember rightly, she won 3 good classes there. There's the 15th to go out of 36 starters, representing some 14 nations. Now, see if you can have some fun working out these lines that Peterson set. To 5, to the treble combination. Related distances, as most of you will know. 6 non-jumping strides or less between the fences. 4. And again was taking just a little pat-pat there at the end. It didn't quite, in fact, make it to that 9th fence. In fact, before this started, Francis Luthark was telling the crowd here, 8,000 of them, Peterson had laid down quite a challenge on the flat as well as in the air. Just the one down then for Alexandra Liederman. For 4 faults with Rocher M. They lower rail, they get 4. If they go over that time allowed of 84 seconds, then they get a quarter of a time fault per second. With 3 faults for their first refusal. If they have 3 refusals, then they're eliminated.
305.
You see the way Alexandra, look at the look of concentration on her face as she looks down this line. And as Franka Slutak was saying earlier, you had to get it absolutely right going from that wall to fence 8, otherwise you would have fence 9 down at the end of the run, as Alexander Liederman did with Rocher M. Jan Tots now for Holland with Operet La Silla. This is a German-bred mare, 10 years old. Jan, who was Olympic team gold medalist the Summer Olympic Games in Barcelona, 92. Runs his own tournament centre, Valkenswaard. His 10th season on the Volvo World Cup circuit. Finished 4th in the Western European qualifier in Amsterdam. Oh, long way off that one. Now he's taking it very, very deep off the barrier. In fact, that looked like 3, didn't it? And then took a little fiddle on the way down to that fence 9. These Volvo World Cup qualifiers, as much about points as anything else. 20 points going to the winner, 17, 15 and 13, and down by 1 then to 16th place. That's to find the top 18 on the Western European League. That will go forward to the Volvo World Cup finals, which will be in April in Gothenburg next year. Well, Jan Tots just wrapped it up with a fair old clout at that last fence for 12 faults with Operet La Silla.
That's 12 penalties.
Volvo a state car going to the winner in each of these qualifiers on the Western European League. But, good prize money going down the line as well. See how far away from that fence they were. That meant Operet La Silla had to really reach for that back rail and didn't quite reach far enough. Now Gilbert Bachmann now for Germany with Cordalmy. This is an Oldenburger stallion by Cor de la Brière, 8 years old. Gilbert, the Bachmann family are famous producers of horses. They also manufacture well-known horse trailers and transporters in Europe. Again, it's just a little bit long between those last 2 elements. They've really got to get in there deep. Olaf Petersen, who designed the show jumping courses for the Olympic Games in Seoul, and is one of the senior international course designers on the world circuit. Although Gilbert Bachmann came down that fairly well. Bachmann's, you may remember, sponsored Austria's Thomas Fruman, who was the Volvo World Cup champion in Del Mar in California in 1992. Well, no way they were going to come off the ground there at all. But at 8 years old, this is relatively young for a horse at Grand Prix level. And Gilbert Bachmann just quietly takes him around again and says, let's go and do it properly now. and finish it off as they have. Picked up time for 13.75. I was saying earlier about the prize money. I said Volvo estate car going to the winner. In total, this tournament's worth some 30-odd thousand pounds. About 12,000 pounds to the winner and something like 7,000 pounds to second place. Roughly converting, of course, from the Deutschmarks.
That's 13 3/4 penalties, 2 3/4 for exceeding the time allowed, and the time is 94.93.
Whoops, they really did have to reach out for that, didn't they? Now, my great friend and colleague, you can hear there, the course announcer, Hans-Heinrich Isenbart, one of our senior commentators on our German network. Lars Nyberg now with For Pleasure for Germany. This is an 8-year-old Hanoverian stallion by Furioso II. And Lars, the next pupil of Ashes van Vukpalt. And he went well in the Berlin Championship that we covered on the Friday evening from the Deutschlandhalle. Picked up points last year on the North American Fall Circuit. Woof. Really exploded out over that last oxer. These fences, what, 1 meter 50 to 55, spreads out to 1 meter 60. Again, Nyberg using that barrier, going as deep as he can. Took a little snatch there then for that fence 9. Well, he's only got the double to go now on that final vertical. Pops through the double. Sets up for the final vertical and leaves it standing. So our 6th clear round. Lars Nyberg for Germany with For Pleasure. And joins Duccio Bartolucci for Italy, Ludwig Beerbaum for Germany, Eddie Mackham for Ireland, Hofmeister for Germany, and Michael Whittaker for Great Britain. We'll be back after the break with more jumping from the Deutschlandhalle. Well, welcome back to the Deutschlandhalle, and I'm sure you recognize this rider that's come in. It's John Whittaker for Great Britain with Everest Granuche. But 6 clear rounds so far. Update you on those at the moment. Let's get John through his course first. We're in the first round, those on equal scores going forward to a jump off against the clock. Oh dear, the second fence. Well, there we go. I was just about to say what a brilliant back end to the season John Whittaker and Everest Granuche have had, as they show us just how to go down that rather long treble combination that we were looking at earlier. Won the Grand Prix in Dublin. They won the Du Maurier International in Spruce Meadows, the richest show jumping Grand Prix in the world, and they won the Grand Prix at the Horse of the Year show. Everest Granuche, 15 years old, by the is Hanoverian bred actually, by a famous Hanoverian stallion, Granuche. And John, although the one fence down so far, Volvo World Cup champion in 1990 and 91 with the great Everest Milton. Well, brother Michael Whittaker's already through to the jump off with Everest Midnight Madness. And all of a sudden, our German cameraman slows us up. You can see by the clock in the corner, though. They came home with just the one down for 4 faults. John Whittaker and Everest Granuche.
That's 4
And,
penalties.
bit of a silly fence to get, really. But there you are. That's the name of the game. That's show jumping. Ah, we're going to see it again, I think. No, that's not the one we were looking for, in actual fact. But you can see Everett Granush's bonnet blowing there in the breeze as he jumps. That just protects their eyes from any bits of grit that comes up. But also any horses are sensitive to noise, such as the public address system, bands, or the applause. Then the riders can just put some cotton wool in their ears to bring that sound down, particularly indoors, as you can see where the crowd are so close to them. Right, Peter Gerink now for the Holland with LBH Royal Bravo. Dutch stallion by another famous jumping stallion, Ramiro Z. Hanoverian bred. And as Peter's just doing his girths, let me just give you a recap again on those 6 clear rounds so far. Duccio Bartolucci for Italy with Too Hot to Handle. Ludger Beerbaum for Germany with Sprayer Retina Z. Eddie Macken for Ireland with FAN Skyview. Dirk Hafemeister for Germany with PS Priamos. And Michael Whittaker for Britain with Everest Midnight Madness. And then Lars Nieberg for Germany with For Pleasure. Vito finished second in the Dutch National Championships last year and was in the Dutch winning team in Falsterbo in Sweden this summer. Struggling a bit for that one, but they got it. And they got out of it all right as well. Made a fair bit of noise there, but they left that one. But Peter, who produces a lot of young show jumping horses, realized this horse was not right coming to that last fence, pulled him out. He'll get the 3 faults for it, but it wasn't really a refusal, as you saw. And you just let him set up again and say, come on, we'll do it properly, and we'll know next time. And they do indeed. So in total then 11.75 with his time faults added for Peter Gerink and LBH Royal Bravour.
11 dreiviertel Fehlerpunkte, davon 4 dreiviertel für Überschreiten der Laufzeit, 102,04. That's
for Switzerland now. Beat Mandley, 35 years old, with Joyride. It's a Belgian-bred mare by Codexco, 11 years old. Bietti's 10th won 22 points on the Western European League, and we saw him win right at the beginning of the season in Oslo with Joyride. And so they get 20 points and a Volvo stake car for that. Peterson, who's keeping them sort of moving on all the time, and then as we see him tick it down this line, then he closes them in. He says, no, come on now, I'll really test your accuracy. no height to that one, did they? So 3 down then for Beat Manley. 12 faults for Switzerland with Joyride. I say he's nicely placed at the moment on the Western European League with that 10th placing on 22 points. That, of course, thanks to, as I was saying earlier, his win in Oslo. So John Popley now for Great Britain with Bluebird. Irish-bred mare by Spetrach, only 8 years old. John, who comes from, or based in Kent, the Garden of England. Becoming more and more a regular member of the British Nations Cup teams now during the summer. And we saw him at the Horse of the Year show from Wembley in London, going very well there. Finished 10th in the Volvo World Cup qualifier at Amsterdam. Well, John perhaps a little bit worried going down that line. Being that third fence there before going down to the treble combination. He in fact shortened that to 3 by the look of it, didn't he? Certainly not coming together for them this time. Just the double to go now. Already with the 3 fences down. Twelve faults it is for John Popley for Britain with Bluebird. And so we've got 6 clear rounds so far to go forward to the jump off. But we'll be back in a few minutes' time with more Volvo World Cup action from the Deutschlandhalle here on Eurosport. Well, welcome back to the Deutschlandhalle, where we're coming now to the tail end of this first round of the 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League. And from Canada, Tani Ziedler riding Stavros. It's a French-bred Anglo-Arab by Hadja, 10 years old, and Tani making her debut on the Volvo World Cup circuit. Was from Edmonton, Alberta, based at the moment with Jan Tops in Holland, and we saw her finish 7th in the World Cup qualifier from Monterrey in Mexico. Another one riding in a hackamore, the bitless bridle. 6 clear rounds so far. I'll bring you up to date with those after Tani has jumped her round. Again, that's fascinating watching that related line across the arena, isn't it? They just have hurried the first part of it. So just the double to go now. And then the final fence of fence 13. Tani Ziedler for Canada, finishing on 12 faults with Stavros. Lucio Bartolucci for Italy with Too Hot to Handle. Lutger Beerbaum for Germany with Spray Retina Z. Eddie Macken for Ireland with FAN Skyview. Dirk Hafemeister for Germany with PS Priamos. Michael Whittaker for Great Britain with Everest Midnight Madness. Lars Nieberg for Germany with For Pleasure. That's the 6 clear rounds so far, and we have 2 more to go. As we watch that replay of Tani Ziedler. Rob Aarons for Holland with Jonga's Stolen Thunder. Now, this is a 15-year-old Australian thoroughbred by I'm Scarlet. And you may have seen him back end of last year when we had our coverage from the Pacific League in Australia. It's ridden by Alison Rowlands. I also rode him in the Volvo World Cup finals in Tokenbosch last April. Now with Rob Aarons. They finished third in the Grand Prix of Leeuwarden. Rob, a very experienced jumping rider. In his 12th season, competed in 5 Volvo World Cup finals. See how they have to keep gaining ground down there. Rob tried to make a leg correction there. He could feel his horse running on. This is a lovely horse, isn't it? Won 10 decent races apparently on the flat before it came to show jumping. And Rod's just pulling him up and saying, come on now, you're over anticipating on me. Let's settle down. Really get to know each other. There, got him beautifully round now. Okay, he kicked it out, but so what? I think we're going to see a lot more coming from this new combination as the Volvo World Cup season goes on. So with time faults, that was 14 faults for Rob Aarons for the Netherlands with Jongas. It's Rob's new sponsors. Stolen Thunder. Now the last to go out of the 36 starters in this first round of the 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League. Marcus Bierbaum now, the 24-year-old brother of the Olympic champion Ludger. He's riding Alex, Westphalian bred by Armash. Now this is only a 6-year-old, very much a baby. Finished 6th in Aarhus, 5th in the Volvo World Cup qualifier in Amsterdam. And young Marcus in his 4th season on the World Cup circuit, now based with Dirk Hafemeister. Oh, beautifully ridden down there. Didn't the horse give him the answer coming out over that third element? And again. Just a double to go now, and the final. Fence 13. Got behind toe on that one. Lost the concentration a bit right through that because they also faulted, you will see, at the last. 8 faults then for Marcus Bierbaum for Germany with Alex. Well, that left us with 6 to go into the jump off against the clock for this 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League for jumping riders. As Marcus Beerbaum goes out the back, and you can see there the trade stands and the VIP village, as they call it, which is so much a feature of the indoor jumping circuit. Well, now on the jump-off course, it will be 8 fences. There'll be 9 jumping efforts, and we'll have confirmation at the moment of the 6 to go, but let me just remind you, Lucio Bartolucci for Italy. Italians in tremendous form this year, really bounced back to the top of the international league where they belong and were so many years ago. But there we are, there's our 6 confirmed for us. Too hot to handle for the Italian rider, riding that. Ludger Beerbaum with the lovely mare sprayer Retina Z. Eddie Macken for Ireland with his Grand Prix winner FAN Skyview. Dirk Hafemeister with PS Priamos. And then it'll be much the order of go as well, this of course. Then will be Michael Whittaker for Britain with Everest Midnight Madness. And the last to go will be Lars Nieberg for Germany with For Pleasure. And I was saying about the Italians making a comeback in the Nations Cup Series this summer, a points tournament that goes on all around the world. They finished 3rd on 27.5 and won in Hickstead, Barcelona and Bratislava. Germany won it on 34, Switzerland on 32. Britain, I think the worst season we've had on the Nations Cup circuit. We finished 5th. And Bartolucci, who will open up this jump-off, he's been one of the most reliable riders in the Italian team for some time now. So we're in for a fascinating jump-off. That'll be after the break. Do join us then here on Eurosport for the jump-off for the Volvo World Cup from Berlin, the Deutschlandhalle. Well, welcome back to the Deutschlandhalle in Berlin. We're just going into the jump-off now. 6 have qualified for the 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League for jumping riders. Shortened course, 8 fences, 9 jumping efforts, designed by Olaf Peterson. And you'll see he's given them quite a long run in between the fences, as well as his twists and turns. The first to go then, for Italy. He's competed on the Volvo World Cup circuit for some years now. Lucio Bartolucci for Italy with this Australian thoroughbred. Too hot to handle. Bartolucci, and he can go for the time or he can go for the careful clear. So points going right down the list. 20 points to the winner, but I'll explain more of that later as he starts on his course. There's that long run to the second fence. In fact, Bartolucci not really taking on the clock, but now he's going to have to think about it. Right under that one. And with a 2 down now. He hasn't got much choice, really, except to more or less cruise home, and that makes the 3. Only 6 in the jump-off, though. He's still going to pick up some useful points. A very long run, as you can see then, down to the last fence. That was the 3rd element of the treble combination on the first round. So the 12 faults for Lucio Bartolucci of Italy, with Too Hot to Handle, 54.21. So that's not going to put a lot of pressure now on the other 5 to come. In fact, it more or less puts Ludger Beerbaum now into the same situation as if he'd actually opened the jump-off. Those feet kicking off the sand there were off Too Hot to Handle. Now, Ludger Beerbaum, the Olympic champion from Germany, Volvo World Cup champion in 93. He's just having a word out the back there, but I don't think we've actually got his voice. But I can vaguely hear it if you can't, and I'm trying to quickly translate it. What Ludger's saying, yeah, He was saying that there is a very long run down to that last fence. He sees that as being going to be critical in this jump off, just as much as the long run from the first fence to the second. And Lutke, of course, is riding this wonderful mare Sprayer Retina Z, bred by Leon Melchior at his Zangerscheid stud by the Hanoverian stallion Ramiro. And look at that. From the first, shoots over there, sets up beautifully on the short stride then to jump it, comes in very steady then to get that oxer or near parallel. Comes across to the double. Beerbaum definitely deciding he's putting the pressure on the other four. A question of riding for points only. Gets across that one at a lovely angle. Now to this last fence. And he's going for a flyer for it. Lutke Beerbaum and Retina Z, and they leave it. 40.93 seconds. That sets the pace. Lutke Beerbaum for Germany with Sprayer Retina Z. And Lutke, who won the Volvo World Cup qualifier in Amsterdam, third in Helsinki, is absolutely flying this time. And there you can see the close-up of the Hackamore bridle. And what a wonderful mare this Retina Z is. She carried Piet Rijmakers to an individual silver medal at the Barcelona Olympic Games for Holland and to a team gold medal. Third to go now then, Eddie Macken for Ireland with FAN Skyview. 12-year-old Irish-bred horse by Clover Hill. Eddie has had a great back end to, or second half rather, to last winter season when he won the Grand Prix in Gothenburg and Togenbosch with this horse Skyview, originally produced by Brian Dye in Britain. But they're off. Woof, Eddie had a bit of luck at that one. Looking very quick. A lot's going to depend how he comes away from this double. He's fairly sharp. Oof. May just have come a bit too much of an angle there, but Eddie's still keeping the pace on. But cruises on down to the last with Skyview with that full falter in 40.72 seconds. Well, that's what, 2.1 or 0.21 rather. Just ahead of Beerbaum's time, but of course Beerbaum left the fences standing. Well, there wasn't a lot of luck about it looking at it from that angle. He obviously gave it a fair tap, but that's the tactics and the name of the game. Put the pressure on them. Dirk Hofmeister now. And Dirk's explaining that his lovely horse, PS Priamos, a 12-year-old Westphalian, never all that fast. He lets him sort of set his own time, but certainly he's pleased to be in here and pick out points in front of his own crowd. Dirk Hofmeister, the fourth to go with PS Priamos. Lutke Beerbaum and Sprayer Retina Z clear in 40.93. You can see Dirk now is just taking his time to come home. He had that fence, but as he's always said, great horse that this Priamos is, and it is a great servant to him. It's never really one of these quick ones in a jump-off. They've won him a World Championship team gold medal at the World Equestrian Games in The Hague. So the 4 in 48.43 for Dirk Hofmeister and PS Priamos. So Lutke Beerbaum leads at the halfway stage in his jump off for the 6th Volvo World Cup qualifier on the Western European League. Lutke with Sprayer Retina Z clear in 40.93. Second place, Eddie Macken with FAN Skyview, 4 faults in 40.72. As Britain's Michael Whittaker comes into the arena with Everest Midnight Madness. It's 11-year-old Dutch bred. Michael, 34 now. He really hasn't got any option. He's got to go for the time. And he is too. And taking it fairly steady, in fact, to that second fence. Playing it carefully, but I'll see when he has this one. Yeah, he's starting to move up a gear now. Ooh! Well, I never. How did they get away with that? It was sort of half stop, wasn't it? Anyway, doesn't matter. They've left it standing. That's what counts in this game. Michael Whittaker and Everest Midnight Madness, and they're up on the clock. Across that at a lovely angle. Only 2 to go. Look at Michael looking for his line. Now he's going to go for it. And they are. Takes a little safety check. Butterflyer. Well, well, well. Literally pulled that back rail with them over the last. But look at the time. 42.27. He looked as if he was up coming across the arena there. But in fact, he's about a second and a half. And that's most probably what cost them that second and a half. Hesitation there going to that vertical. He's about a second and a half, in fact, off Lutger Beerbaum's time. So Beerbaum still leads with Sprayer Retina Z. Eddie Macken still holds on to his second place there with that 4 faults in 40.72. Michael Whittaker now in third with Everest Midnight Madness. And the last to go now, 30-year-old Lars Nieberg for Germany, riding For Pleasure. This 8-year-old Hanoverian stallion. Lars Nieberg, I'd say, picked up a few points on the North American League, or the East Coast North American League, rather, on the fall circuit last year. Looking for his first points now on the Western European League. And he's not going to go for the safe clear. He's pushing on. He's after that Volvo estate car as well as he's after the points. It's not going to depend how he gets out of this double. He's slowed up a bit coming through there. Got away from it fairly quick though. They could be just about even Steven, him and Beerbaum on that turn as he comes to the last 2 fences. Lars Nieberg for Germany and For Pleasure. The crowd calling them home. Oh, they absolutely annihilated that last fence. Well, yeah, I'd say that's the marvellous fascination and excitement of show jumping. He had to take his chances. It was either that, he committed himself for going to the time. They annihilated it, but 4 faults in 41.57 for Lars Nieberg for Germany with For Pleasure. And just watch this. In fact, Nieberg started to come off the ground before the horse did. And For Pleasure said, this is no pleasure for me, but let's get this one out of the way. So, the Volvo World Cup qualifier in Berlin, 6-1 on the Western European League. The 20 points go to the Olympic champion from Germany, Lutger Beerbaum. That's his second win on the Western European League. Riding Sprayer Retina Z for the clear round in 40.93. Eddie Macken coming in to pick up some useful points. Second place for Ireland with FAN Skyview. A 4-faulter in 40.72 seconds. Third place then comes Lars Nieberg for Germany with For Pleasure, with that 4-faulter, that dramatic 4-faulter, in 41.57. Fourth place then, again picking up useful points, Michael Whittaker for Great Britain, with Everest Midnight Madness. Another dramatic one that one was, wasn't it, the last fence? That 4 faults, 42.27, yeah. And then in fifth place then, Dirk Hafenmeister for Germany, PS Priamos 4-faulter, in 48.43. And in sixth place then, the Italian rider who set it all up, Lucio Bartolucci, with Too Hot to Handle, with a 12-faulter in 54.21. And there's the official confirmation of that for you. And so Lutger Beerbaum winning the Volvo car, the state car. Eddie Macken's going to pick up something like £12,000, between 10 and £12,000 anyway, in second place. And it'll be about £6,000 to £7,000 then going to Lars Nieberg in third place. But it's the points also that matter here. I say Ludger Beerbaum picking up 20 there.
40,93
So on my
Sekunden.
quick
That's
calculations, yes, that puts Ludger Beerbaum at the head of the Western European League now. And Eddie Macken, having picked up 17, he'll move a lot closer. And Michael Whittaker from that 5th placing, that should lift him somewhere near the top 10. But I'll be able to confirm the full details of the Western European League after 6 rounds for you on Sunday, because we'll be back at 2000 hours Central European time on Sunday with Volvo World Cup freestyle dressage to music and some more highlights of the show jumping and full details of that Western European League for you. And that, of course, is at 1900 hours British time in Britain and Ireland. Well, there's the Volvo estate car that goes to Ludger Beerbaum, the Olympic champion, as I say, the Volvo World Cup champion in 1993 with this wonderful mare, Retina Z. In fact, won the first of the World Breeding Championships Awards. It started a couple of years ago, and it'll be here in the Deutschlandhalle where the award will be made for the 3rd year running. And there, in fact, is the wonderful mare. As you can see, look, we're always switching the bridle back for the presentations. He puts an ordinary snaffle on her, takes off the hackamore that he uses for the competing, and quite rightly so, looking absolutely delighted with himself. But let's say, we'll see if we can pick up some highlights for you as well on our Sunday program, starting at 8 o'clock in the evening on Central European time and 7 o'clock in the evening on British and Irish time. We might be able to pick up some highlights for you from that World Breeding Championships Award. And also there'll be the retirement of a great friend of all of us, giving us so much pleasure, and that's the lovely German horse Volkswagen König that carried Francis Slutak to so many successes. He will be retired on Sunday as well, in front of this crowd of 8,000, which Ludger Beerbaum is now acknowledging. And look at the lights shining off Retina Z.